They hauled my brothers and sisters off to the shoreline, claiming it would be wiser for me to remain indoors and handle the chores. Upon their return, my bedroom stood vacant, utterly devoid. Not a single snapshot featuring me lingered on the surfaces. That occurred 18 months prior, yet the hush lingers on my tongue even today. My name is Grace Thompson, and at 90, I still recall believing I'd simply been overlooked. In reality, I'd been wiped clean. My stepmother, Jennifer, dubbed it quality bonding. My father, Marcus, simply agreed to maintain harmony. Thus, I grinned and resolved to grant them precisely their desire, a residence absent my essence. The events that unfolded afterward remain dreamlike. Yet the retribution? Well, it marked the initial occasion I truly felt acknowledged. They had obliterated me initially. I merely completed the task. Following my mother's passing, my father wed again swifter than I could mourn. Jennifer arrived with impeccable tresses, flawless grins, and a knack for feigning warmth. I was 9 upon her arrival. By 10, I had become the resident caregiver. Washing up, ironing garments, aiding with assignments, tucking in at night. All fell to me. Father praised my maturity. Jennifer insisted I ought to appreciate it. At 12, I discovered that appreciation equated to quietude. At 14, I ceased requesting fresh attire. At 16, I halted all pleas. By 17, I managed the entire household. As she proclaimed fatigue, I held a side gig at the diner, funded my own reading materials, and prepared supper prior to anyone's arrival. Each duty fulfilled chipped away at my core. They'd remark, "You're invaluable," but value isn't kinship. Value can be substituted. The spring vacation of my final high school term was meant to vary. I'd arranged to join them. At last, unwind, simply act as their offspring once more. Conversely, Jennifer beamed over the dish basin. "It's preferable for you to linger and labor." Father scarcely lifted his gaze from his periodical. "She's correct, darling. You'll accomplish more remaining." That term, darling, once evoked affection. Presently it resembled a restraint. As they departed for the coast, Emma embraced me, Tyler wept, Jennifer scoffed. And I lingered in that desolate entryway, observing the vehicle vanish, comprehending that even the pet secured a seat in the rear. Except for me. The quiet that ensued wasn't serene. It weighed like sodden mortar. I perched on my mattress for ages, attuned to the drone of the cooler, the clock's pulse, and the reverberation of my pulse. A noise too faint for such a vast dwelling. That getaway, they ventured to the seaside. I departed as well, albeit in another manner. Post-departure, the void engulfed the abode entirely. No merriment, no strides, merely the subtle buzz of a barren icebox. I lingered there for hours, gazing at the household portraits on the partition. Beaming countenances, ideal casings, mine interspersed. A falsehood displayed openly. An inner fracture occurred that day. I wasn't furious any longer. I was finished. Should they crave a domicile bereft of my imprint, so be it. I notified work of illness, then commenced gathering. My wardrobe, my volumes, the antique trinket chest from my mother, all remnants of my being entered crates. By midday, my vehicle brimmed. I leased a compact locker unit on the outskirts, initiating numerous excursions. Each hall resembled molting, ache-inducing yet liberating. Upon return, I surveyed. Their abode retained its pristine facade. However, now the fissures emerged. The image display was subsequent. I extracted every image bearing my visage. Each casing revealed a bleached outline, akin to specters of the child they feigned to cherish. In the galley, I claimed the cup Emma crafted for me, the brew apparatus I'd procured from diner earnings, and the sketches we'd jointly created. I wasn't pilfering, I was retrieving. Subsequently, I captured images, each chamber prior and subsequent, evidence of the expanse I'd formerly inhabited, evidence of their impending loss. The lavatory purged, the sleeping quarters cavernous, the parlor imbalanced where I'd resided. By the ensuing dusk, tears evaded me. Serenity enveloped me, virtually aloof. When Madison's mother, Patricia, rang, I at last consented. She'd proposed lodging for months. I'd invariably declined, fearing abandonment of the young ones. But that dusk, I discerned I wasn't forsaking them, merely the souls who overlooked me. Patricia appeared with her spouse and Madison prior to twilight. She beheld the dwelling and murmured, "Dear, this lacks hearth." They assisted in stowing the final crates, and as I sealed the portal, remorse absented. Solely liberation surged. Exterior, the heavens bore violet and azure bruises. The atmosphere bore sense of precipitation and autonomy. For the inaugural instance, the path forward intimidated not. It beckoned. As we motored off, the panes mirrored my features, partially illuminated, partially obscured. For the first occasion, I favored the illuminated aspect. I glanced rearward once, sufficiently to note the veranda lamp stutter. That abode had caged me. Now it constituted merely another shadowed form in the mirror's reflection. Should they seek to witness kinship absent me, I demonstrated. They returned Sunday Eve, tanned, chuckling. Their tones cascading through the approach, I absented to witness. Yet I envisioned each nuance. Jennifer unfastening the entry, Marcus transporting baggage, Emma and Tyler dashing forward, then hush. A variant hush this instance. The variety resonating with epiphany. The barriers stood nude. The ledges vacant, even the aroma of brew vanished. They presumed I'd merely tidied until they advanced further. My chamber, vacant. Mattress denuded, compartments ajar. The specter of my aura dissipated with the grit. The parlor, half the portraits absent. Blanched paint patches where my features once dwelled. The galley, devoid of seasonings, devoid of brew device, devoid of coziness. I envisioned Jennifer's demeanor. The spasm in her mandible, the quiver in her tone. Upon grasping this wasn't mishap. It was deliberate. Upon the surface, my missive awaited, each phrase selected as testimony. As you desired kinship absent me, I deemed you merited a glimpse. I informed their destination. My acquisitions, not beyond my rightful, merely all they'd presumed. I expressed gratitude to Jennifer for imparting the distinction. Betwixt utility and desire, I expressed gratitude to Marcus for illustrating how reticence wounds profounder than utterances. I conveyed to Emma and Tyler my affection, yet affection precludes lingering where unseen. Beside the missive, I deposited my latchkey and the duplicated employment notice, the one inscribed seeking resident aid. Jennifer's visage would blanch upon the phrase, role formerly occupied by kin. Marcus would then comprehend I hadn't fled. I'd relinquished. Emma likely wept foremost, invoking my name into the resonance. Tyler would ensue, inquiring my return. None responded, not this occasion. Jennifer's tone fractured. Marcus muttered oaths beneath breath. The clamor of a portrait casing striking flooring constituted the sole abode retort. The hush once mine, now theirs. When Patricia messaged they've arrived, I envisioned Jennifer striding. Marcus fixated on my vacant portal. Both grasping how one apparition could torment a dwelling, I omitted response. I perched exterior beneath the violet twilight, observing illuminations ignite in pains no longer homely. The zephyr bore subtle resonances of glee, recollections dissolving into obscurity. For the inaugural instance, the hush pain not. It mended. It was mine. And as gloom descended over their flawless abode, I at length beamed, not from malice but tranquility. For occasionally the subtlest retribution is merely striding forth and foregoing return. They presumed my eternal absence. They remained oblivious to the impending. The subsequent dawn, my device buzzed incessantly. Unfamiliar digit initially, then father, then Jennifer. I disregarded the premier 5 summons, but on the 6th I responded. Grace returned forthwith. Father commanded, tone edged with alarm, you cannot depart thusly. In truth, I uttered gently, I can. Hush ensued, the variety trailing a verity too burdensome to refute. You're exaggerating, he retorted. Return abode so we discourse. Abode, I chuckled. When latterly did it evoke abode, father? When latterly you championed me, when Jennifer regarded me as labor. No retort, merely respiration, constricted, irregular, then Jennifer's tone sliced. Grace, this is absurd, you cannot forsake your duties. Which duties? I queried. Those you never queried my desire for, those entailing toil, scouring, and epithets of egotism for craving affection. You're responding excessively, she seethed. The young adore you. How can you inflict this upon them? I inflicted naught upon them, I stated. You did the day you imparted. I lacked kinship. Her inhalation faltered. I nearly heard her suppressing sobs. You craved kinship absent me. Well, now you comprehend its sensation. The connection severed. For a spell I merely regarded the device, sensing both void and buoyant. Then it chimed anew. Emma, her tone splintered. Grace, why depart? Mother's weeping, father's irate. Tyler comprehends not. I gulped firmly. Oh, dear one, you erred not. Then why forego homecoming? Because, Emma, occasionally one must stride away, so others discern your contributions. She commenced wailing. I gnawed my lip to steady tone. Convey to Tyler my affection, I murmured. And my eternal siblinghood. Post-call, I perched on Patricia's veranda, observing daylight pierce the vapors. It resembled the cosmos exhaling alongside me. Patricia delivered brew. She posed no inquiries, merely companioned in hush. The variety secure. You acted justly, she uttered ultimately. They required an awakening, and you required serenity. I assented, vision stinging. I discern not if I sought retribution or liberty, perchance both. She uttered mildly. I beamed. For once no contrition required, yet that constituted merely inception, for the ensuing summons altered all. It arrived that twilight. A subdued digit I nearly forewent. Upon response, an unanticipated tone quavered on the wire. Grace, Jennifer murmured, I must inquire something, and I require your veracity. Her inflection lacked ire now. It bore trepidation, humanity. And for the inaugural instance, I discerned the narrative concluded not. It pivoted. And her subsequent utterance demolished all I'd presumed known. Grace, Jennifer murmured, her tone scarcely cohesive, I must inquire something. Did I truly mistreat you so? For an instant, respiration evaded. All those annals of reticence culminated here. I discerned not your desired utterance, I responded subdued. You grasped the reply. She commenced weeping. Authentic tears this instance, not the theatrical sort. I was harsh, she stated. I presumed control preserved flawlessness. But all I achieved was your fracture. Her admission evoked not triumph. It evoked stasis. You cannot mend yesteryear, I stated, but you can cease feigning its non-occurrence. I desire attempt, she murmured. Not for self, for Emma, for Tyler. That phrase tempered me. For despite totality, those juveniles signified to us both. We conversed nigh an hour on pardon, on limits, on how affection ought not ache to attain. She implored not my homecoming. She queried rectification. For the inaugural instance, Jennifer heeded, truly heeded. And I discerned pardon precludes oblivion. It entails electing serenity over substantiation. Upon disconnection, I ventured exterior. The breeze bore aromas of drizzle and commencements. Patricia cultivated her plot. She elevated gaze, beamed astutely, and uttered, feels unburdened, does it not? It does, I murmured. For mending lacks clamor, it's the subdued resurgence of one's pulse. Weeks hence, we convened at one board anew. No strain, no enactment, merely being. The identical board once arranged for others, at length arranged for me. Should you ever necessitate striding away to unearth serenity, this narrative is yours. You require not their sanction to recommence, merely valor to persist absent until wholeness returns. Should you endured this, solitude evades. Have you confronted a kin? Relate in remarks. For occasionally the finest retribution is thriving unbound and thriving splendidly. They essayed my obliteration. I mastered inscribing myself anew prior to farewell. Should this narrative stirred your essence, kindly endorse with approval and disseminate to one necessitating this audition today. Omit not enrollment for additional veritable kinship perfidy narratives that affirm our surmised fortitude.